I know it's difficult sometimes to come up with ideas to paint that are fresh. We all get into habits, and sometimes you'll find that you're making nearly the same image over and over. Or you'll have days where you just don't have any inspiration or good ideas to paint. Try using the illustration prompt generator from the link above this video. It randomly combines places, people, and actions into scenes. See if any of the things you read generate a spark of an idea for you. Using a reference image. Although the main focus in this course is to help you create images from your imagination, the wilder the better, sometimes you'll want to start from a reference image, a photograph. This is a great way to learn and improve your drawing skills, and it can be a very useful way to get an image started. In the end, it might end up very different from your initial photograph, but that's a good thing. Don't feel bad about using a photo reference. There's no shame in it at all. Virtually all the great digital artists have learned by studying and using reference images. Try getting up early one morning, just after sunrise, and take a walk around where you live and take a few photographs. If you live in the city, go to a nearby park. And if you're in the country, go anywhere. Look for a good landscape scene and capture it in any way you can. The photograph doesn't need to be great. Even using your phone is fine for this. It's just to get the ball rolling. Make sure your scene has a foreground, middle ground, and background though. So here's a random picture I took by sticking my head out the car window one wintry day in the countryside. First, you'll probably need to resize your image to around 1,000 pixels in the large dimension. Even a little smaller might have been better for this kind of rough sketch. Duplicate the layer and shrink it down and place it somewhere out of the way. That's your reference image. For this exercise, convert the image to black and white. In this example, I use an adjustment layer to do this. Now, here's a cool trick. Duplicate the layer and apply a median filter to it. This eliminates all the unnecessary details. It's a lot like the common technique of squinting your eyes when looking at a scene to better see the big shapes without all the details creating a distraction. Identify the main blocks of tone and their rough shapes and placement. Then loosely paint each of these on their own layer. Don't fuss with this at all, as it's just a rough approximation at this point. But try to mix up your brush types: fat, thin, hard, soft, opaque, and transparent. Use all the techniques for sketching that we've already gone over. Don't worry about accurately matching the source image. Feel free to make whatever modifications you feel like. But if it's looking bad, you can try bringing it closer to the original image a little if necessary. Just don't be a slave to the original. I like to slab in some blob shapes and then carve away at them with the eraser. You've seen this before. These painting techniques should all be very familiar by now. I'm not doing anything you haven't seen already here, so it's sped up quite a bit. If you want to, using the layer opacity, you can compare how your image is to the original image. Make sure that your composition is somewhat aligned. But don't rely on that too much. It's best to practice trying to draw it from your eyeball. So just look at the reference image and roughly match that. Again, don't worry too much about getting it exact. So now I have a very rough image with values that are approximately matching the original reference image. And here's the interesting part. Put all these layers into a group. You can select them and then hit Command or Control G to do that. Then duplicate the group with Option or Alt and drag. Now open it up and try changing the values for each of the layers in search of a better arrangement of values to fit the concept of the painting better. I'm using Command U to bring up the hue, saturation, and value sliders, and then I just change the value. Try creating a few variations. Here, I try making the buildings lighter than the background row of trees. Then, when you have something you like, you can just forget about the layers and freely paint on a new layer on top of it all. At this point, use the dropper tool to select colors directly from the painting to get the right values. Here's the original image, and here's the rough copy. And here's a couple of different value studies. And then here's the final sketch, and it's still super rough. So now you try it. Use a reference image that you create yourself so you don't have to worry about copyright violations. And do a quick rough match, and then generate some value variations of it. And don't trace the image, as that will suck all the life out of it. There will be times when you want to trace or do a paint over, and I'll touch on that in a later video. But for now, just eyeball it, and don't worry too much about accuracy. You now have learned enough in this module to complete all the exercises required. The remaining lessons are extra, and take this module a little deeper by focusing on various techniques to help you come up with new ideas using reference images, shape engines, and other things. So I suggest you take a break from watching videos and start making some images now. Then come back and check out the remaining lessons of this module. Good luck.